everyone. See, we have seen yesterday that there are some of the endogenetic forces, some of the exogenetic forces which are operating on the earth. Endogenetic forces will result into creation of relief features. How the relief features are created depends upon whether the plates come near each other, causes folding, whether they go away from each other, causing faulting. अब नहीं समझ में आएगा what is folding or faulting, but what has been happening is the earth constantly is in the process of change. So what we generally see is the mountain being created today? Yes. Are the mountains being eroded today? Yes. Were the mountains being created 1 million years back? Yes. So, were the mountains destroyed some millions of years back? Yes. So we have young fold mountain as Himalayas and the oldest fold mountain as Aravallis. Fine. There was once only one continent, what is known as a supercontinent or Pangea. It broke into numerous parts. It resulted into these numerous parts were called by different names: Africa, Asia, Eurasia, Indian plate, etc. And in the future, there will be again one more continent which is being formed. So the process of creation and destruction will go on for the millions of years. We'll see some of the short videos of how this faulting and folding will create, and then we will write the 8 fundamental laws of geomorphology. We will be keeping on visiting these laws, and if you look at the past 20 years ka question, whatever we write today, of the 9 fundamental laws, usme se 4 or 5 are very important. One question comes every year of this 8 fundamental laws of geomorphology. They ask you to write the short note. So what is the challenge? The more you can write about the examples, the more you can connect it with the examples, the better it will be. For that, you have to have a basic understanding of what is happening in this world. There is no need of the sound. So when we look at the mountain will be having some kind of a stiffness. So that angle is known as dip, and that or strike. Strike is basically the stiffness, and the dip is how much is the angle that it is making. We don't use this in the answer writing, but these are some of the fundamental concepts you should understand. The younger the mountains, the more steeper they will be. So first folds. See, what is the force that is being applied? It is towards each other, and we'll call such force as the compressional forces. They will result into shortening of the Earth's crust. So yesterday I told you a depression is syncline. Upper part is anticline. So anticlinal mountains, synclinal valleys. And the biggest valley, which was once upon a time, is known as geosyncline. So Himalayas came out of the geosyncline, which is mentioned in our syllabus. So syncline means a depression. So this is how the valleys will be there, and the other part will be the mountains. This is how the earth is folded below the surface. There are different kind of folds. This we do in GS, not in. Now when anything is pulled, tension, pulling is tension, is this compression. When anything is pulled, there is a rupture or fracture on the surface of the earth. Obviously if somebody pulls this bone, it will fracture. And fracture ke baad it will not lay straight. Some part will go up, some part will go down. The same applies to the earth. After pulling, some part goes up, is thrown upwards. Why? Depends upon the complexity below. That is not the scope of geography, that is geology. Getting it? It depends upon the complexity below. And even geology cannot fully understand. Therefore, this subject is so complex that we can see the results, we do not know the causes. We cannot predict the earthquakes. We can save ourselves from the earthquakes. Fine? We can predict the tsunami, but prediction of tsunami is after the occurrence, after how much time it will reach us. ऐसे नहीं we cannot predict, just like monsoon की 10th June को monsoon is going to reach XYZ place. वैसे we cannot say on the 10th of June or on XYZ date earthquake or tsunami is going to occur. So prediction of earthquake, prediction of tsunamis, prediction of anything that is associated below the surface of the earth is a complex science in itself which has not yet been successful. So this is what is the rupture, it is going to occur, that is the breaking. Not required. I'll stop here now. What is happening in the normal fault? You can see there is a tension. Some part will go up, some part will go down. The part which goes up becomes a mountain, the part which goes down becomes a valley. We have such examples in India, and that is Vindhyas and Satpuras. They are an example of a block mountain. And Tapi and Narmada are an example of Rift Valley. Himalayas mountain hai, but they are fold mountains. Vindhyas and Satpuras are mountains, they are known as block mountains. Why block mountains? Because flat hai. Mountains are not like our original mountain, curved, they are flat mountains. Normal fault, reverse fault, दोनों का impact is same. What differs is the strike slip fault. In the strike slip fault, you can see nothing goes up or down, it just passes across each other. It is just sliding parallel each other. So it results into tearing of the surface of the earth. And because of the tearing of the surface of the earth, we may get something like Gujarat ka place, or we may get something as if the earth is breaking away. Red Sea jaisa concept. If you have seen in the atlas how is the Red Sea? Red Sea is very parallel, elongated. Why? Because the Africa is moving. We will see the photos of the Red Sea if there is any doubt later on. Normal fault. There is no mountain formed. So these are formed due to the endogenetic forces. This is one of an endogenetic forces. Fine. And we may find photos somewhat like this in this. Can you see the folds on the surface of the earth? Yes. This is how the mountains are formed. This is what is the process of folding. Can we really see them in real life? Ki animation mein dikhta hai. You can see them in the real life too. This is how the geologist will study the earth. Can you see folding is occurring? You can see in the another photo a proper folding has been shown. This is why we know what force is acting on the surface of the earth. Now, there can be a folding which has occurred in certain region. After that, the mountain has got eroded, denuded, uska height has been lowered, and then there is faulting after millions of years. Fine? So, such feature which has experienced folding some years back, then faulting, then denudation, will call such features as polycyclic features. More than one cycle is operating. Cycle matlab process. And most of the earth is polycyclic in nature. And therefore, one of the second fundamental law of geomorphology is the complexity of geomorphic features is more common than simplicity. And in the examination, they will give you this statement, elaborate. So you have to write the same things what I have told you. There can be a landform which has experienced folding, then over the period of time it has experienced faulting, and then it will, but you should know the examples. And the best example in India is oldest landform in the world, and that is Peninsula Plateau, which starts from Vindhyas, and as you go down right up to Karnataka, this is the oldest landform in the world. And because it is the oldest landform in the world, still it is present, means it has not yet been destroyed. आज भी we have the entire half of India lying there. Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana, some parts of Tamil Nadu, some parts of Kerala are still there. That means this region is region made up Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, all the states are that, Madhya Pradesh ka some part, means this region is not yet destroyed. Why it has not been yet destroyed? Because it is made up of tough, hard rocks. So that is why you will study in GS, you will study in Indian geography. Iron ore, where do we find? In the Peninsular Plateau. Where are the metallic minerals located? In the Peninsular Plateau. Getting it? And on the other hand, youngest landform in the world is a Great Plains. Because it is youngest, it has not yet matured, and therefore Great Plains will not have any industries, because industries ke liye you require metallic minerals, and metallic minerals are generally found in the oldest landforms of the world. Getting it? So this is how folding will occur. Same, you will see the experience of faulting. I'll show you how the this can occur due to faulting. There are many types of faults here. And we are going to study the faulting by these names. Horst is a block mountain, Graben means rift valley. And in real life, it may look somewhat like this. Can you see a crack on the surface of the earth? Faulting. Or you can see how this earth has been cracked. This is how the faulting is occurring. But this is not a faulting of normal or reverse fault. This is an strike slip fault. जिसका best example is, जिसके ऊपर movie is also there, San Andreas. See, the Google में सबसे पहले आता है San Andreas fault system. And this is how the earth is breaking. Can you see the fault is occurring? And these are the two plates which are moving in opposite direction, not towards each other. Had they moved towards each other, fold mountains. Had they moved away from each other, block mountains, faulting. They are parallel to each other, and therefore only earthquakes are occurring in this region. Then once the earth was formed, there was Pangea. Pangea broke down into Panthalassa, numerous continents. We were somewhere near the South Pole. Life originated there. After the life originated there, due to the movement, South Pole के पास it was extremely cold. Near the equator it was hot. Where we are now, it is a mixed type of climate with seasons. So life also underwent geological changes, because there was the change in the position of your house. Imagine your house is once near the polar region. Then your house comes near equator. Then your house comes on the Tropic of Cancer. Will the climate change? Yes. And because the climate is going to change, will there be change in the genetic makeup? Yes. And therefore, body will adapt to the different climates. And because the body adapts to the different climates, what is going to occur is evolution. Fine? And over the period of time, who will survive? The fittest is going to survive. So as the landforms evolved over the period of time, the animals who could adapt to the different climatic changes survived. The animals who could not adapt were extinct. You have seen this in the movie Ice Age, Continental Drift. The name of the fourth part of Ice Age movie is Continental Drift. So over the period of time, India, because it has passed through so many changes, so many different climatic changes, India has very high biodiversity. Fine? But That means peninsular India. Again, I am talking about peninsular India. When I say in geography, geomorphology, Indian plate, just remember peninsular India. Fine. I guess you all know what is peninsular India. To the south of Vindhyas, right? Half of India, जो नीचे का half है India का, which is triangular in shape, that is a peninsular India. This peninsular India has undergone so many changes because it was near the pole. Then it came near the equator, and today it is in the position जहाँ से Tropic of Cancer is passing through it. So can I say peninsular India is an example of polycyclic relief? So you have to just know the geography of peninsular India. You can answer any question on the 4 fundamental laws of geomorphology. You have to take the best example is peninsular India. And why it has occurred? This is because of a theory. We call it as a continental drift theory. And the continental drift theory over the period of time has been this is what is the earth is moving. Can you understand the video? The earth is moving at the pace at which our nails are growing. We have done this in June batch, that Atlantic Ocean is an example of an expanding ocean. This is what the Pangea was. Right? Now, because this is National Geographic, the video is interesting. And can someone spot India here? This is where the India is. Getting it? It is going to move upwards. And because of this, again, those who were in the June GS batch, they know this. Those who are not will do that. I told you the longest mountain on the surface of the earth is Mid-Atlantic Ridge. And this red line is a Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Why? Because it has moved. And therefore, rifting se block mountains ban gaye below the oceans. So 250 million years from now, we will have another second Pangea. Actually, we will see over the period of time, this is the 5th Pangea. And just have a look. And what I am showing you these videos is because these are going to be our next 6 to 7 lectures in detail. This is how the change is going to occur. India, Australia, India, Asia has touched. You can see Himalayas. Antarctica will move upwards. Whenever they will clash, it will result into formation of fold mountains. This will be the single Earth after obviously 250 million years afterwards. Fine. So this processes will keep on happening, and once this processes due to endogenetic forces occur, there will be the exogenetic forces, and the exogenetic forces especially will be caused due to the agents of erosion. And because of the agents of erosion, सबसे पहले if we take river, if the river is acting, this is how the river will act on the landform. Now, why does the water flow from highland to the lowland? Because oceanic crust is more denser than the continental crust, and this is isostasy in our syllabus. The sources are glaciers. So you can see Himalayan rivers are snow-fed. Peninsular rivers are streams, which will be rain-fed rivers. And this is what is important. When the rivers are flowing with great speed, उनका erosion capacity, they can break any of the, I'll just increase because this is, उनका erosion capacity is very very high. They come with great speed, they can do the friction on the surface of the mountain, they carry large amount of stones, and because the slope is steep, stones will fall down. We will call, जहाँ पे erosion capacity is very high of a river, we will call such rivers as youthful stage. Then they come to the, after Haridwar, they enter the plains. In the plains, as the steepness of the slope decreases, uska speed decreases, and when the speed decreases, the main work of a river is deposition. And this is what is the mature stage. And ultimately, when it goes to the eastern UP and Bihar, where the river has become very big because of the tributaries, and because there is a further decrease in the speed due to the Bay of Bengal, as the rivers are meeting the Indian Ocean, then the only work of a river is deposition. See the difference of the words, major work of a river and the only work of a river. Where the only work of a river is deposition, we'll call that as old age. And old age they will form delta. This is one external agent of erosion. Getting it? And this will result into formation of the landforms that are associated with the rivers. What is happening? I told you big stones can be carried. So the mature stage has started. Because the speed of a river has decreased, it will start moving, and we will call such moves as meanders. The meandering of a river will occur. Speed has decreased, meandering has increased. What is the difference? In the first diagram here, you can see the river has broken into numerous smaller streams. We will call this as distributaries. When the river breaks into numerous distributaries, it is an delta. If it does not breaking, it is an estuary. Remember, as of now, east flowing rivers form delta, west flowing rivers form estuaries. Why west flowing rivers have formed estuary? Because west coast is submerged. Why the east flowing rivers form delta? Because they are big rivers and they are an example of an emerged coastline. So this is one example of how the landforms are formed by the exogenetic forces. These are the landforms of river, and you can easily distinguish them V-shaped valleys over U-shaped valleys, and there are some of the landforms which are made by the glaciers, and you can easily find them. This landforms are made by glaciers, not necessarily ice has to be there. Even after ice goes away, river and ice are two different particles in physics, and therefore unka erosional property will be different. Snow being solid, it will erode more or it will erode less. If somebody is rubbing water on your body versus if somebody is rubbing ice on your body, where the erosion will be more? Ice. So the stones which are there will be broken down by the ice into very fine particles which are similar to maida or floor, and this we will call them over the period of time as moraines. So if you are roaming in peninsular India, you will be surprised to see that you will find moraines. Kahan pe hai peninsular India? Below the Tropic of Cancer and equator. And what are the features you find there? You will find the features which were once upon a time the features of glaciated. You will find many mountains such as this. Instead of rounded mountains, you will find the mountains, though they have been eroded, they will have very sharp edges. This can be formed only by the glaciers. They will call such as the pyramidal peak. Or you will find some of the mountains, ice is not there. The only difference in the photo is ice is not there, but you will find such mountains which have been as if somebody has broken. Who has broken? Glaciers. Huge mass of ice has, just like imagine this was once an ice cream. You have taken the scoop of an ice cream. So the glaciers have taken the scoop of the stone. The glacier which is flowing in this direction has taken the scoop in the other direction. And therefore this region is sharp. So this is an example of an polycyclic relief. Fine. What we can conclude by this is the third fundamental law of geography. Don't write anything. Is the forces which were acting in the past are still acting today, but maybe at different locations. Or fifth fundamental geography, which plays the most important role in shaping the landforms, is the climate or the external agents. Fine. And why peninsular India is an example of an polycyclic relief? Why? Because it has experienced one of the biggest cycles of glaciation which we had experienced in the recent times, though there have been numerous, and this age is known as an Pleistocene ice age. You have 3 times the question specifically on the Pleistocene ice age. So you should know what has happened in the Pleistocene ice age. $11,000 years ago is very recent in geography. Even India is green in color. That means it was India was under the ice age. Getting it? This is what is glacier. Those who are from peninsular India and those who are from Himalayan states both know in the Himalayan states the shape of the color of the rocks will be Whitish. In the peninsular India, the color of the rocks are brownish or blackish. Why whitish? Because it is a glacier, and because it is a glacier, it is not water. So water does not, because it is not water, it does not dissolve calcium carbonate from the rocks or the calcium from the rocks, and because it does not dissolve calcium from the rocks, the color is white. In the peninsular India, because it is hot and humid climate, water will dissolve the calcium carbonate, chalk, tuna from the rocks, and therefore calcium goes away. What remains back is iron and magnesium. Magnesium gives black color to the rocks, iron gives red color to the rocks. One question comes in UPSC, what are the evidences of the Pleistocene glaciation? So you have to write about the landforms जिनका भी हमने photo देखा and we'll study उनका name. Second evidence you have to write is fossils. These are the animals which were found during the Pleistocene ice age. You guess, already know the name of that fossil. What is that elephant? Is that elephant? No, it is mammoth. What is this? Tiger? Lion? No, this is saber-tooth cat. Jiska today's successor is tiger. Fine. Which part was under glaciation? Asia, including India. So do we find tigers in India? Yes. Do we find tigers in Africa? No. Why? Because it never went there. Third evidence, plant ka fossils, animal fossils. Third, plant fossils. Only thing is you should now know the name of those trees. Now see, trees cannot occur in the regions of glaciers, so there will be dominance of grasses. And in the Pleistocene period, he originated. That is, the humans came on the earth.
At this point, they could be found on almost every single continent on the planet. A lot of the life during this time period came in the rough end because of the gravity of the planet. This event is called a mass extinction. A mass extinction is an event that wipes out over 90% of the Earth's living species.
Remember this even for prelims. What is mass extinction? When 90% of the living species on the earth are wiped out. So why it is there? Why I am saying important for prelims? Because this is what is occurring now. We are in the phase of sixth mass extinction. And the sixth mass extinction is going to wipe out 90% of the species on the planet Earth except human beings. Why? Because this is caused by us only. The sixth mass extinction is caused by the humans, and this is what is known as an Anthropocene era, dominated by the humans. So the rest is not required for our exam. So, understood the fundamentals? Is it too cold in the classroom? So, fine. ये निकाल दीजिए. And we now start with the first lecture. जिसमें we will be doing from the examination point of view. And remember, each and every statement which I am making you write is important here. Second thing, in the next 3-4 lectures, I will be asking you the application of the statements, and you should know how to interlink the statements. Fine. Third, when we do Indian geography, again the statements will come into the picture. That is the fundamental concepts of geomorphology. This fundamental concepts of geomorphology was the reason why we have seen half an hour ka videos, fine, so that it gets clear in your mind. Remember, they are so important कि अगर अगले साल you don't have time to study geomorphology, you just do this 9 concepts and still you will be able to answer 50% of the questions from geomorphology. They are so important. Getting it? One lecture, the most important lectures of geomorphology. One of the statement which when I started the crash course last year of the geography, my first statement was, that is, the earth is an outcome of, that is my favorite statement, the earth is the outcome of process, stage and time. And that was your first question in paper last year. Getting it? So that is why these fundamental concepts of geomorphology are important. But before we further progress, what do you understand by geomorphology? What is geomorphology? Geomorphology is study of the earth's surface, not below the surface of the earth. To understand the surface, we have to only go some kilometers deep to understand the interior of the earth. So if there is any doubt कि हम कितना deep जाएंगे to understand the interior of the earth, that is not the scope of our subject. When you go below the surface of the earth, that is geology. When you describe anything on the surface of the earth, that is geomorphology. And when you describe anything on the surface of the earth for the helping of the humans, for benefit of humans, that is geography. Geography, graphy mein humans are included. That is why we have human geography. Geomorphology, why we find it so difficult? Because there is no graphy in it. It is only morphology, description of the surface of the earth. So geomorphology is the description of the surface of the earth. जिनको लिखना है लिख सकते हो. Why? Because nothing but this will not come in the prelims or not in the mains. This will be asked in the interview. What do you understand by geomorphology? So you should know that it is the description of the surface of the earth. And the first fundamental concept of geomorphology, you can take down. The geomorphology is the description of the earth's surface which was started by Greek and Roman geographers. Started by the Greek and Roman geographers. Herodotus or DOTUS, you don't worry about the spelling. Herodotus. Who is Herodotus? Herodotus is the father of history. Fine. So Herodotus is remembered for geographical observations through statements such as Egypt is a gift of Nile. Through statement, Egypt is a gift of Nile. Herodotus is known for his geographical statements or observations such as his statement, Egypt is a gift of Nile. How this statement is related to geography. Egypt is a gift of Nile. Don't just look at the statement as it is. Break down the statement. He's talking about a location, aerial differentiation, locational analysis of Egypt, and he's talking about geological phenomena in which Nile somewhere is breaking the rocks and depositing large amount of sediments in the country known as Egypt, and because the sediments, agriculture is possible. Egypt is a gift of Nile, matlab Nile is bringing mud and depositing it in near Egypt, and because of that mud or soil, agriculture is possible. Why you will say anything else? कि some maybe country, Afghanistan is a gift of Sam. हम ऐसा नहीं करते, हम कहते हैं North India is a gift of Ganges. Why? Because North India is important for agriculture. Why it is important for agriculture? Because there is a fertile soil. From where this fertile soil is coming? It is coming from the Himalayas. Who is bringing it? Ganga. Why it is depositing? Because uska speed is decreasing. Understanding the meaning of this statement? So, thus he could attribute the erosion of river Nile, in the initial stage, which resulted into deposition of silt and sediments. Silt and sediments in Egypt. What is a silt? What is a sediment? Sediment, anything that is broken. So, I break this cup, it will break into small pieces, and small pieces are known as sediments. But if the size of the sediments is very, very fine, it is known as silt. So, river mein kya hota hai? There is always silt. Getting it? River will deposit the silt. Fine? Second, Aristotle. You will find Aristotle in each and every subject. Silt and sediments. Silt is very fine deposits. Sediments of very small size are known as silt. Over the period, actually ये ऑप्शनल में नहीं है, ये सब पार्ट जीएस का है. रॉक, सैंड, क्ले, सिल्ट, सैंड एंड ग्रेवल्स. 0.5 millimeter diameter, उससे छोटा, so it is nothing but the size. Aristotle talked about the origin of springs. Remember, we are doing geomorphology, not climatology. So यहाँ पे spring मतलब झरना, not the season spring. Getting it? It means water that is flowing. Talked about the origin of springs. and explained the formation of the springs. Explained the formation of the springs. Which he believed was formed due to percolation. What do you mean by percolation? Seeping down of rainwater. Percolation. I have written the spelling here. Percolation of rainwater. See, you are in 300 to 400 BC. जब belief था, that time the belief was, what is spring, what is rain, when the god is crying, what is earthquake, when the god is dancing, what is volcano, when the god is angry. Fine, that was the belief. And उस समय ये statements देना was crime against the king, was crime against the priest. Still they gave and explained to the people properly, and that is the importance of this. आज तो ये बहुत आसान लगता है, वाई वी आर स्टडिंग दिस, बट यू हैव टू गो टू दैट एरा. ये स्टेटमेंट देने के बाद मौत थी. वाई बिकॉज यू आर चैलेंजिंग द अथॉरिटी. एंड हु व्हाट अथॉरिटी? प्रिस्ट. चर्च नहीं था तब, बट द प्रिस्ट एंड द किंग का मैसेंजर प्रिस्ट, एंड प्रिस्ट यूज्ड टू डायरेक्टली टॉक विद गॉड. So nobody can challenge them. When they challenged, people started to think rationally. And over the period of time, the changes occurred. Next, Aristotle also recognized that earthquakes and volcanoes are closely related in origin. Closely related in origin. Next, Strabo. How was Aristotle? Anyone who is studied Aristotle in graduation, was he a person who used to go on the field and study, or did he sit at home and give theory? He used to sit at home and give theories. Fine. He never used to visit the place. There are two different ways of studying any subject: field observations and applying them, specific to general, and the other is एक general law दे दो and then apply it to the specific. General law, हर specific to general, Newton below the tree, apple falls, he thinks why apple falls, talks about gravitation, and then from the apple we apply it to the entire earth including satellites and planets. That is specific to general. General to specific, over the period when we will come in geographical thoughts, we will come to that topic, how the study should be. Now the Strabo was the first person who ventured out and studied the landforms, and after studying the landforms he could talk about changes in the sea level. The sea level sometimes increases, sometimes decreases. If the sea level increases, landform gets submerged. If the sea level decreases, the landform get immersed. How you should link it? Kal ka chart. Why I made that chart, endogenetic, exogenetic forces, so that you can understand today's topic. Fine. So Strabo, can I say, talked about emergence of a landform and the submergence. That is, did he talk about diastrophism? Yes. He talked about the endogenetic forces. So यहाँ से geography has started. But they are giving the theories or only describing? They are only describing कि ये ऐसे ऐसे हुआ. Theories आएगा from Darwin. And the biggest theory will be then Davis. Getting it? So Strabo noted the noted the changes in the landforms, which was caused due to rise and fall in the sea level. Rise and the fall of sea level. Rise and the fall of the sea level. Matlab, what he is talking about? Submergence and emergence. Rise of the sea level and fall in the sea level. He also recognized that delta. Are due to river erosion. Deltas are due to river erosion. उसने कौन सी थिंकिंग चैलेंज की? उसने थिंकिंग चैलेंज की कि डेल्टाज आर जहां पे राक्षस ने पैर रखा था, वेयर डेविल्स ने पैर रखा था, एंड इसीलिए वहां से नीचे का पानी ऊपर आया है. व्हाट वाज द थिंकिंग दैट टाइम? कि वेयर एवर द डेविल हैज वॉक्ड दैट इज अ डेल्टा. Just like Indian army now believed कि they have seen Yeti. फिर नेपाल ने कहा it is not Yeti, it is the Himalayan brown bear. What is Yeti? Yeti is supposed to be a person who is still alive from the Mahabharata era, and that person is Ashwasthama, which has been cursed by Krishna that he will never die and he will keep on roaming in the Himalayas. Indian army claimed just 1 month back that they had seen Yeti. It came in the newspaper, and nobody has seen Yeti as of now. But the Nepalese government then over the period of time said कि नहीं, Yeti नहीं था, it is a Himalayan brown bear. Fine. Why nobody has seen? Because anyone who sees Yeti as per mythology dies, and as per reality anyone who sees the Himalayan brown bear dies. Why? Because bear is the only animal which can kill you without a reason. Tiger, lions will never kill you unless they are hungry or angry, you irritate them. But bear can kill you without a reason. उसको कोई, that is why bear is more dangerous. Getting it? Bhalu can kill you without a reason. It does not require कि it should be irritated, it should be angry. It is always irritated. क्यों always irritated? इतना heavy body to carry. It is one of the biggest animal, so it is always irritated. Next, he also wrote extensively on the size of the deltas. He wrote extensively on the size of the deltas. And said that deltas vary because the nature of the rocks and the erosional capacity of the river, deltas vary because the size of the rivers and the erosional capacity of the rivers as well as the structure of the rocks vary. Structure of the rocks vary. Structure of the rocks vary. So this is first logical concept कि जहाँ पे the rivers are very big, deltas will be big because they will deposit large amount of sediments. See how the deltas are formed. When the river speed is greater in the mountains, then the river becomes very wide in the middle course. Then it becomes more wider in the old stage because अभी हमने देखा it gets the tributaries. All the tributaries is bringing in the silt and the sediments. River can carry the silt and the sediments only if its speed is greater. But once it meets the sea, उसका speed decreases. And because उसका speed decreases, imagine that it has gone into the sea now. उसका speed has decreased. So the sediments which are there, they are deposited by the river. When the water which is coming with very low speed, it does not have the capacity to remove the sediments. So what it happens? It breaks. And we will call this as distributaries. Fine. Again, this distributaries ka speed will decrease and it will deposit those sediments. And they will further break. And this is how the deltas will be formed. So Strabo rightly said that it depends upon the rivers and the structure of the rocks. If the rocks are very hard, there will be less sediments and therefore smaller deltas. If the rivers are very big and plus flowing on the soft rocks, it will carry large amount of sediments which will be deposited by the rivers and they will form large deltas. Understanding everyone? Any doubt here? यही लिखना है आपके GS में. It does not come in the optional one again, but this is the common question in GS. Why the Himalayan rivers form bigger deltas than the peninsular rivers? So I've already told you peninsular rock is oldest. And therefore the structure of the rock is very tough. It is not broken. Secondly, rivers कौन सी बड़ी है? Himalayan rivers are bigger than the peninsular rivers, so they carry large amount of sediments. And thirdly, they flow through soft rock, that is the Great Plains ka rock, which are softer, and they all deposit it in the. Therefore, Ganga Brahmaputra delta is one of the biggest in the world. But only difference between GS and optional is GS में there is no need of diagram. GS में there is no need of mentioning Strabo. Optional में you will have to mention Strabo. Right? Getting it? Next. See, this was Greek and Roman geographers. Fine. We will call them in the geographical thought in our fifth chapter. Fifth chapter मतलब याद रखना in the section A का first chapter. That is, I will call it as continuously as a fifth chapter. Why? वैसे you just remember geographical thought because your syllabus has been changed in 2008. उससे पहले geography was half this syllabus. In 2008 when they changed, they added one chapter more. They removed the map pointing from paper 1. So this is what is known as the geographical thought में ancient geography, where we were just describing the geography. Then in this ancient geography, in geomorphology, we will skip the people which are known as Arabs. Why? Because Arabs were mostly traders. They were located between India and Europe. And they used to trade, middlemen. And because they used to trade, उनको geomorphology में कोई interest नहीं था. They were not interested in geomorphology. They were basically interested in climate. So all the development of climatology occurred in Arabs, not in geomorphology. See, for example, if you are posted somewhere, you will be interested to understand the culture of that region. Why will be interested in the understanding the, once you become, suppose some of you become IAS, some of you become IPS, some of you become IFS. आपका interest will change. One who becomes IFS will now read foreign policy का books. अगर IPS ने foreign policy का books पढ़ा and IFS starts reading about internal security, it is of no use. The same things happened in Arabs. But thought में, when we talk about ancient geographers, it is Greek, Roman and Arabs. Then in the thought, we will come to the next period, which is known as a classical period of geography. It is still an ancient period, but classical period because development occurred here. There were two important thinkers. I am not going to make you write anything about the classical period. There were two important thinkers here, Humboldt and Ritter. Both talked in the manner that it was during this period. I'll give you a background. In this period, initially, classical ancient geographers, it challenged the church. Fine. Then over the period of time, the thoughts of rationality, the thoughts of scientific development occurred. But somewhere in the middle century, after the Christ age, somewhere, the science collapsed and there was a dominance of church. जो गैलीलियो सब जब था, everyone there was a dominance of church. जहाँ पे Roman Empire was very strong. The center of the world was Rome. The end of the world was Mediterranean Sea. Fine. Rome के ईस्ट में राक्षस रहते थे, barbarians, अनाड़ी लोग, tribes, that is we. Getting it? हिस्ट्री में भी यू विल सी कि ब्रिटिशर्स यूज्ड टू कॉल अस बारबेरियंस. इट वाज दैट थिंकिंग. रोम के वेस्ट में, रोम के नॉर्थ में डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ द पीपल यूज्ड टू स्टे. फाइन. नॉर्थ में भी राक्षस रहते थे. दिस व्हाट इज द गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स टेलिंग यू. दैट इज द वॉकर्स, आइस वॉकर्स. देखो उनको कैसे प्रोजेक्ट किया गया है. So this was again challenged by the people in the classical period. अब classical period में लियोनार्डो डा विंसी ने पेंटिंग कराई, बॉडी की एनाटॉमी दिखाई. ही टोल्ड अस अबाउट द बॉडी, हाउ द बॉडी इज itself a science in itself. Similarly, Humboldt and Ritter were two great people. I will not call them as the geographers because Humboldt and Ritter का domain goes in different subjects. Out of that, both of them were friends, both of them knew each other. The only difference is Humboldt came from the very rich family, aristocratic family, and the Ritter, Karl Ritter, came from extremely poor family who had worked from the time he was 7 years when his father died. So Ritter का concept was, देखो how the shape changes, how the thinking changes. Humboldt believed in everything is universal, कि earth है, there is universe and the God has sent us on the earth, that is we are on the earth. He did not believe in God. He believed that we have been sent on the earth so that we can understand the laws of the universe. He did not believe in God. He was born in luxury. Ritter on other hand believed in Nasib. He was the follower of God and वो कहता था God has sent us so that we can understand what is inside our body and we can understand only the earth, not the universe. One believed in universe, one believed in earth. One is born in luxury, उसको earth के problem से कुछ लेना देना ही नहीं है, उसको universe का problem दिख रहा है. रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर, fine. He is not concerned about freedom of India, etc. much. He is talking about the universal brotherhood. एक भगत सिंह who is born in hardship and he wants to first understand what is the earth. These are the two important geographers. Will come over the period of time and यहाँ से एग्जाम हमारे questions start होंगे. Questions will never come from Greek and Roman geographers. So if you are planning to read Majid Hussain, before I ask you to do, remember initial 200 pages आपके कुछ काम के नहीं है. It is the only next 100 pages जहाँ से Humboldt and Ritter starts that is asked for the examination. Greek and Roman is not in our syllabus. It has been removed in our syllabus from 2008. Getting it? So we will be writing only one thing. The development of geography. The development of geography. Classical period. Occurred in the classical period. In the classical period, where there was birth of new modern geomorphic ideas. न्यू मॉडर्न जियोमॉर्फिक आइडियाज. ये कौन सा पीरियड है? क्लासिकल पीरियड. इन आवर हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया इट इज द मेडिवियल पीरियड. इन ज्योग्राफी इट इज अ क्लासिकल पीरियड. रिमेंबर, इंडिया का गोल्डन एज वॉज गुप्ता एक्सेट्रा, दैट वॉज देयर डार्क एज. एंड उसके बाद व्हेन द रूल वॉज नॉट सेंट्रलाइज्ड इन इंडिया, व्हेन द रूल वॉज नॉट स्ट्रांग, सब कुछ कोलैप्स होते गया इंडिया में. इन द लेटर पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया, दैट इज द एंड ऑफ एंशियंट एंड द स्टार्टिंग ऑफ मेडिवल टिल द टाइम अकबर केम. वो पीरियड इन इंडिया वॉज द डार्क एज, बट इन यूरोप इट वॉज द क्लासिकल पीरियड. एंड क्लासिकल पीरियड में द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट जोग्राफर एंड द फर्स्ट फंडामेंटल लॉ ही गेव इज द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ यूनिफॉर्मिटिज्म. डोंट राइट एनीथिंग. इससे पहले देयर वॉज द कंसेप्ट. Okay, first I will ask you anything. If I want to, if my finger is a river and if this is a mountain, मैं एक झटके में इसको तोड़ूंगा माउंटेन को, और I will work continuously for millions of years and then I will break the mountain. What it is? I will work for millions of years. Fine. So before the Hutton came on the scene, there was a belief of principle of catastrophism. Catastrophism, everything on the earth is sudden. And why it is there? Because God is planned. Earthquake is sudden, rocks breaking is sudden, rainfall is sudden. Hutton challenged that idea and gave the concept of principle of uniformitism. What is the principle of uniformitism? The principle of uniformitism is said, कुछ भी catastrophic नहीं होता. Everything is very, very slow process. And all the process which are operating today have been operating in the past. Getting it? So rivers will over the period of time break the rocks. And when the rocks, I will keep on pressing this cup. And suddenly when the pressure will increase over the period of time, ये cup break हो जाएगा. But cup, why did it break? Because I was continuously pressing it. This is what is uniformitism. Getting it? So, and the principle of uniformitism, कोहिट डेविस ने कहा, structure कब किससे बना है? What the process is acting? Rainfall or glacier and time. Getting it? So that is why this concept is important, and we say there is a birth of new geomorphic ideas. James Hutton की line, I had used it yesterday. Present is key to the past. That is what is the principle of uniformitism. What the present landform is, it tells you about the past climatic conditions. Getting it? So James Hutton challenged the principle of see, don't confuse this with the catastrophic forces. This principle of catastrophism is church wala. God has designed everything. The challenge the principle of catastrophism, which was the prevailing philosophy according to which the features on the earth were specially created due to sudden violent changes or activities. मतलब कुछ भी एक लिख सकते हो. You can write about the changes or activities. What does the principle of catastrophism says? If the Himalaya is there, it has been suddenly created by violent activity. Fine? Who creates it? Specially created by God. Fine? So if you are a believer of catastrophism, there is no need of geography. Why? Because Himalayas हैं, हाँ भगवान ने बनाए हैं. It will be destroyed very fast. If you are a believer of catastrophism, there is no scope of Pangea. Why? Because uniformitism, when you believe that they have been slowly created, then you study. Slowly means 1 million years ago, 600 million years ago, 4.2 billion years ago. Principle of uniformitism believes in the geological time scale. Principle of catastrophism believes in the sudden creation and destruction. Getting it? If you believe in catastrophism, there is no reason to believe in the geological time scale. There is no reason to believe that Earth is so old, it has been made by Big Bang theory, then over the period of time evolution occurred, and then over the period of time there was the survival of the fittest. Why? Humans, Bhagwan ne banaye hai. Adam and Eve wala concept. Fine? ह्यूमंस कौन डिस्ट्रॉय करेगा? भगवान ही करेगा, क्लाइमेट चेंज होगा नहीं. फाइन. सो यू हैव टू राइट दिस लाइन. The believers of catastrophism, the believers of catastrophism did not appreciate the importance of slow geomorphic concepts did not appreciate the importance of slow geomorphic concepts or processes and believed that the earth was only few thousand years old. Earth was only few thousand years old. Getting the idea? Few thousand years old, so you are not believing in the geological time scale. It has been specifically created. Who challenged the idea? James Hutton. He gave the principle of which says, don't write, which says geological processes are very slow and therefore they will take millions of years to show the effect, and therefore present is key to the past. The geomorphic processes which are operating today, the changes which are seen on the surface today are an example of what are the climatic evidences in the past. And शुरू हो जाता है subject. Plate tectonics, continental drift. Past में क्या हुआ? Pleistocene Ice Age glaciation. Past में क्या हुआ? Evidences of Pleistocene Ice Age glaciation. So your every answer that talks or question that asks you about evidences of continental drift, evidences of the paleomagnetism, evidences of paleoclimate. Paleo in geography means old, very old. Your answer should not start the way it is given in the textbook. कि डायरेक्ट लिख के आए, हाँ एविडेंसेस ये है, ऐसे नहीं. ब्रिंग हटन इन इट इंट्रोडक्शन में. गिव द कंसेप्ट ऑफ प्रेजेंट इज की टू द पास्ट एंड देन राइट द इन द मेन बॉडी व्हाट ही हैज आस्क्ड. विल डू सम आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिसेस आल्सो. यू विल अंडरस्टैंड हाउ वी अप्रोच अ क्वेश्चन. फाइन. सो जेम्स हटन challenge the idea of catastrophism. Challenge the idea of catastrophism by establishing the doctrine of establishing the philosophy or doctrine of uniformitism. Whose greatest contribution in geography is the concept of past. This. See, why I am saying geography? Because Hutton का दूसरा disciple, Darwin, evolution talks about this concept. Present is key to the past. Fine. So if had there been no Hutton, ये आगे बढ़ता ही नहीं science. Because Hutton was not a geographer. He was geomorphologist, he was chemist, he was physicist, and he was geologist. चारों था वो. Next. Same Hutton में present is key to the past. This idea forms the foundation of entire geomorphology, because it appreciates, or it recognizes, not appreciates, it recognizes that extremely slow geomorphic features in the bracket write diastrophism. Yesterday's extremely slow geomorphic features or diastrophism results into shaping of the earth. Forming various relief features. Hutton and Playfair. Playfair is the name of another geographer. Playfair also explained the concept of river system and how the river erosion operates. Which was then elaborated described scientifically by W.M. Davis. In his normal cycle of erosion. So इसका मतलब, again we will come over the period of time. If a short note comes on the normal cycle of erosion, what you should be writing? Davis का theory. What should be your introduction? Hutton and fair play. Getting it? Concept of uniformitism. Don't directly start with Davis. Your answer should be different from the other answers, because all the serious students who are going to write mains will do the normal cycle of erosion. Problem आएगा एपिजिन cycle of erosion, जो पिछले से पिछले साल आया था. But it will never come in the normal cycle of erosion, etc. in this part. Fine? Next. Understand now. This was the year 1797 when Hutton came. When the Hutton gave this concept, उसके बाद numerous geographers came and geography as a science started developing in Germany and in North America. Means in Europe and in North America. In Europe, geography as a science started developing in Germany. And the Germany में development occurred of Penck. And in North America, geography as a science started developing in 1797, मतलब 1800, 100 साल बाद, when these concepts were studied and applied, 1902, continental drift theory. 1901 W.M. Davis का normal cycle of erosion. In the same period came Penck का cycle of erosion, that is Bosch-Chang-Hang and Hadel-Hang. German names, concepts वही है. Fine, and this is how geomorphology over the period of time developed. So what was the watershed event that occurred? The principle of uniformitism. Then over the period, geography developed, and in 1940s there was a crisis in geography. The crisis in geography was कि what is the need of geography when there is geology. Geology is also studying the earth and geographers are also claiming to do the same thing. 1940s was the crisis period in जो भी secondary sciences है, which are humanities है, secondary humanities के subject, which are 3 primary humanities का subject. It is political science. There is nothing called as public administration. Fine? It is political science. Political scientists believe पबाड़ वाले क्या कर रहे हैं, हमारा पेपर 2 ही तो पढ़ा रहे हैं. Fine? Indian government and politics. Similarly, climatologists believe geography वाले क्या कर रहे हैं, meteorology का एक छोटा concept as a climatology पढ़ा रहे हैं. और geomorphology क्या है, very small concept of geology. So that was the crisis period, and therefore the school of possibilism is important, because the school of possibilism said, not required now over the period of time. School of possibilism is saying we are not just concerned about non-living things, rocks. We are concerned about the application of the rocks for humans so that humans can develop better. France mein, this is how geography started developing. But during this period, MIT, Harvard University, this all started closing down geography and public administration. Fine? कि इन subjects की ज़रूरत नहीं, because for subjects to be taught in the university, there has to be some original research work and there has to be some unique application. And therefore, both of this was lacking in geography and public administration. I am skipping public administration, I am telling you about geography. And therefore, this was the crisis period when some of the geologists who used to like geography resigned from Harvard University and started developing the subject on their own. When they started developing the subject on their own, the first challenge came, that is they started thinking, telling ki we are our own scientific research. We are having, geography is about cause and expression, but the only difference is human application. So School of Human Geography came. We started studying separate science, that is School of Regional Geography came. Geology does not talk about India ka rocks, it talks about the rocks of the entire world. So people started studying different countries and started studying climate वहाँ का, human geography वहाँ का, fine, geology वहाँ का. It started studying what regional geography, what we'll say. It started talking about trade, because trade was challenged in geography. कह रहे थे ये तो economics का है. Why? What geography is doing in that? Fine. So all this started, people started studying in the regional geography point of view, and therefore came the first influence of positivism in geography. That is, geography is also science because there is cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship, that is, all the people who are living in certain kind of conditions will work hard, they will get, if, or what I described yesterday कि industry यहाँ पे होनी चाहिए, Weber's industrial location. Politics में geography, heartland and rimland theory. City planning में geography, Chris Toller's urban geography. And उसके लिए बहुत सारा data came in 1940s to 1960s. And this period of geography is known as quantitative revolution. Getting it? So after the classical period came quantitative revolution, and quantitative revolution we are thankfully not studying in geomorphology. It is not in our syllabus, the application of quantitative revolution, because data is so huge. So, but where do you apply this in your real life? Computer modeling, कि कहाँ पे landslide हो सकती है. Computer modeling, geographical information technology, computer modeling, कितना ice cap है हिमालयास पे? Is the ice melting and or not? What is this? Quantitative revolution in geography. So quantitative revolution gave a distinct identity to geography, that it is a science. आज भी geography suffers. किसी universities में India में there is MA geography, किसी universities in India have MSc geography. Getting it? The difference is we are not very sure whether it is a science or whether it is a humanities. The this is, but still we are studying this because there is a quantitative revolution, and quantitative revolution said that geography is a science with proper, and science में क्या होता है? Science में, if this is a machine, this machine is known as system, and if there is certain kind of input, you will guarantee certain kind of output, and this system can be earth, this system can be climate, this system can be oceans. If you put plastic, this is going to happen. This system can be cities, कि if you are going to set up SEZ, ऐसे ऐसे होगा. If you are going to develop road, ऐसे ऐसे होगा. This is what is systems analysis in geography. Understanding? Where geomorphology is given and where the systems analysis is given in our syllabus, but how the questions will be asked, and you will have to correlate both the topics. But this made geography too much a science without emotion. Then there was one geographer, I will come to it later on, who said कि मेरे खेत में और मेरे बाजू वाले के खेत में, though both the farms are nearby, having same climatic location, he produces less, I produce more. Why? Because geography is not just science. I have motivation because I am not married. I can give my entire time to the farm. He is having kids, so he goes and he has to take care of the kids and the family. And this gave to the new concepts in geography, that is, there is no systems analysis, there is no quantitative revolution, and came a new skill in geography, what is known as behavioralism. It is, okay, geography is a science, but output will depend upon what is the input in the machine. Input ये है, तो output will be y. So x is the input, y is the output. But behavioralism says x is the input. उसके बाद individual का mind है जो कहेगा, which will filter the input जो उसको suitable है, which will not filter the input जो उसको नहीं चाहिए. Getting it? For example, there are two ways of thinking. Someone say दिल्ली में इतना pollution बढ़ गया that it is becoming impossible to live. And the old people say कहाँ pollution है? 20 साल पहले भी ऐसा ही था दिल्ली, अब तो सुधर रहा है दिल्ली. Input is same, pollution. Output is your mind maps. And that when you filter the input and output, depending upon what you understand will be the output. It can be Z also, it can be Y also, it can be A also. This school in geography is known as behavioral geography. Can I say nothing but application of psychology in geography? Behavioral geography? Fine? So, but thankfully, ये सब human geography को apply होता है. It does not apply to the physical geography, geomorphology. Fine? Next. Similar developments in Germany, similarly in Germany, major geomorphic studies in 1920s and 30s. In 1920s and 30s. Were carried by Walter Penck. The two fathers of modern geography, Davis and Penck, were carried by Walter Penck. Should I repeat? Similarly, in Germany, Walter Penck carried out, the meaning of the statement is, similarly in Germany, the Walter Penck carried out major studies in the geomorphology. He challenged the Davisian concept, of normal cycle of erosion Normal cycle of erosion, Davisian concept, it is based on glacier, river, wind. किसके ऊपर? On the river. He challenged the concept of normal cycle of erosion. So I will write उसका another name, fluvial cycle. Fluvial means made by the rivers. In which he criticized the overemphasis of Davis. In which he criticized the overemphasis on Davis. Overemphasis of Davis on, in which he criticized the overemphasis of Davis on Davis का फेमस स्टेटमेंट, स्ट्रक्चर, प्रोसेस एंड टाइम. बट डेविस ने सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस दिया था टाइम को, ऑन टाइम. In the recent years, next paragraph, in the recent years, there has been increasing use of systems analysis and computer modeling in studying geomorphic processes. In geomorphic processes, which has been applied even in civil engineering. Fine. So ये जो लास्ट का पार्ट है, obviously it is not in our syllabus because it totally becomes systems analysis in geomorphology मतलब civil engineering. Fine, very complex, a different branch of study itself, one part of civil engineering. Getting it? So most of the geography which we are going to study in 3-4 lectures, it will be either Davis or Penck, because uske aage ka thankfully is not in our part of our syllabus. But who gave this systems analysis? You must have heard about Savindra Singh, one of the famous book. And have you heard about one of the biggest book of geography, Stoller and Stoller? So Stoller and Stoller gave the concept. He is one of the pioneers of systems analysis in geomorphology. But इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि वो book खरीदना है. Though you will get it in Kumar, though you will get it in all the bookshops, you may get original as well as Xerox copy. Don't buy the Xerox because that book is good for diagrams. And don't buy the color one because it is too costly, 6,000-7,000 rupees. Fine. And secondly, though diagrams are such that you will not be able to make in the examination because they are satellite images. Buy Savindra Singh because diagrams are simple. Fine. So concept 1, first concept. Have you understood the chronology? Depending upon what is asked, ये जितना भी chronology है, that will be your introduction. If uniformitism is asked, start with catastrophism. How to write an introduction in an answer is just go to one step behind. क्या हो रहा है before a concept is asked is what is the introduction. in any subject, not in just in geography, even in GS. If they asked you about Ayushman Bharat Yojana, tell what was the need of that program. That in the introduction. So develop the knack of writing the answers. So if they have asked you about Davis, usse pehle Hutton ko batao. If they have asked you about the Hutton, in the introduction write about the classical period or the catastrophism, depending upon what. And conclusion is systems analysis, future looking. Fine? So, fundamental concept 1, your concept 1. Prepare this concepts for 150 words, short notes. Fine? Concept 1, the same physical processes and laws that operate today operated throughout the geological time or operated throughout the geological history. Although not necessary always in same intensity. Although not necessary always in same intensity. Fine? Read the statement again. What does it say? The same physical processes and laws that operate today also operated in the ancient times, though unka intensity may change. Fine? Getting the meaning? Now you tell me what you are going to write in this. Polycyclic relief. But what will be the interest? What is the fundamental concept? ये concepts किसने दिए? ये concepts दिए थे Thornbury ने. Fine? But they were based on either on Davis or on Penck or on Hutton, etc. So it is talking about which? Davis, Penck or uniformitism? So matlab it is saying कि for example if this is the place, the same processes, मतलब दिल्ली में आज जितनी बारिश हो रही है वो ऐसे ही बारिश. Process means what is the external agent of erosion. Fine? The same process was operating, but intensity कुछ अलग थी. Intensity was different. Maybe today the rainfall is more. Today the rainfall is XYZ. Some years back the rainfall was more. In the future also this region will get rain, but it will change in intensity. So can I say he is talking about the principle of uniformitism? Fine. Is it the same principle that the present is key to the past? Fine. For what are the examples in this? Example is the processes. You should know what are the processes. So even today, the Indian plate is going below the Eurasian plate. Even today, the Indian plate is colliding with the Eurasian plate and the height of the Himalayas is rising. But not with the same intensity which was some 65 million years ago, when the speed was so great, the Himalayas suddenly came out. Getting it? Even today, erosion is occurring. But difference is, once upon a time, Yamuna was mighty river which was so wide कि it used to touch Connaught Place in Delhi. So उसका erosion ज़्यादा था. But today it has decreased in area, decreased in water क्योंकि हमने dams बनाए. We have stopped the flow of water. So उसका intensity has decreased. Getting it? So this is what is the fundamental concept here. It is the principle of uniformitism. Yes, once upon a time, in a period which was known as the Cretaceous period, see, all this is GS. You don't have to even go into the optional abhi tak. मीन्स नॉट द फंडामेंटल कंसेप्ट, द एग्जाम्पल्स जो मैं ले रहा हूँ दिस आर जनरल नॉलेज के एग्जाम्पल्स. इन द पीरियड विच इज नोन एज क्रेटेशियस पीरियड, व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इन द क्रेटेशियस पीरियड? अर्थ स्टार्टेड कूलिंग. हाउ डिड द अर्थ स्टार्टेड कूलिंग? अंदर की हीट विच इज प्रेजेंट बिलो द अर्थ, इट स्टार्टेड गिविंग आउट in the form of volcanoes. So Cretaceous period is known for the volcanoes, and therefore in the Cretaceous period what happened is there was large scale volcanic eruptions on the earth, and therefore plateaus were formed. Therefore jo region today is known as Gujarat, Maharashtra, some part of Telangana and some part of Karnataka was formed. That is the black soil wala region, the region which is that what happened in this period, large animals which could not run with great speed because of volcanic eruption, they got extinct. So you study in GS that dinosaurs got extinct in the Cretaceous period due to volcanic eruptions. Why the volcanic eruptions? Because craters, meteors came on the surface of the earth and they hit. So आज के हिंदू में एक फोटो है of a crater. You go and see a crater in the field of North America, though it is not due to meteor. Last page mein you will see such things happened in the geological history of the earth, Cretaceous. So you can, means I will give you the pointers, but once our topics are finished, I will again ask you in the test the same questions. It is how beautifully you elaborate depends upon your understanding of the subject. You can take n number of examples, बट द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द आंसर्स, मतलब ऐसे मत सारे लॉज में मत घुस जाना, स्टिक टू द प्रोसेस बट टेक द मोर रियल लाइफ एग्जांपल्स, केस स्टडीज. फाइन, केस स्टडीज you will understand as the subject progresses. Who scores good marks in any optional, not just geography? One who can play with the words, who can play with the knowledge. There are numerous people who are having very high knowledge. You ask them to teach geography, they will be able to teach geography much better than any of the teacher, but they cannot express. Getting it? Concepts are they are having, but they don't know expression. It is all about expression, how you can play with the knowledge. It is not having this much knowledge. This much knowledge, यहाँ के एग्जाम्पल वहाँ डालो, वहाँ के एग्जाम्पल इंडियन ज्योग्राफी में डालो. दिस इज द सीक्रेट ऑफ पासिंग द UPSC. Getting it? Not reading very big books. So this principle was first given by Hutton in his concept of uniformitism. In his concept of uniformitism, which is based on present is key to the past. Based on present is key to the past. The same process that operate today operated in the past. Fine. So do tell me, ice age कौन सा था? We have just seen in the video. Pleistocene ice age. It was the Pleistocene ice age. What were the glaciers of the same, were present in the same area as they were today, or they used to cover larger areas of the earth in the Pleistocene ice age? Larger areas of the earth. So the glaciers eroded much greater earth, part of the earth during the Pleistocene ice age. Pleistocene ice age has ended, glaciers have shrunk, so the intensity of the glaciers have decreased, but still the glaciers are eroding. Fine. What he said, polycyclic relief, if you write it in this, you will not get the marks. Why? Because polycyclic relief means different processes are operating. Processes means folding हो रही है, faulting हो रही है, glaciers है, नहीं है, etc. So this statement cannot be totally true also. Why? Because as the climate of the earth has changed, processes have changed. अभी के लेक्चर के लिए सिर्फ इतना याद रखा, process मतलब agents of erosion, glacier, rivers, winds. So are the same processes operating or they are changing? Not, they are changing. Glaciers used to operate even in the peninsular India. Actually, if you go to Karnataka, Maharashtra, you will find glacier there. No, the process is gone. Forget about Karnataka, Maharashtra. After 50 years, what are we going to? What does the new study says? New study says that the monsoon is going to decrease in India and it is going to increase in Saudi Arabia and Gulf countries. So that will become green and we may become a desert. Fine? And see, you don't have to get surprised. हड़प्पा वाला एरिया एक्सटेंड तो करते जाएगा. हड़प्पा एंड मोहनजोदाड़ो civilization got destroyed due to desertification. And the desert is shifting westwards, eastwards. Getting it? That area is going to extend. First used to cover only Sindh, Pakistan wala region, Rajasthan wala. Now it has covered Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, then UP, then over. But tab tak we don't know what is going to happen to the humanity itself, because our end date is given by systems analysis. 2100. But whether this is going to occur or not, we don't know. Fine? Because see, not just climate change is the issue. If you look at the problems created by humanity, climate change, pollution, population explosion, lack of water. Again, I'll take an example of today's newspaper itself. Photo of one national park some years back and today. Terrorism. And biggest problem, religion. Getting it? Religion khatam kar do, Ganga becomes clean river. Fine? So, this is what is the problem that has been created. So you can take down next example. Glaciers were much more significant during the Pleistocene ice age, and covered large parts of the world. Including major part of present day North America, comma, Eurasia, Europe and Asia, as well as, ये ज़्यादा important है, Brazil area, Africa and peninsular India. So this was once of the region which was glaciated. Fine? So next time when you go to the peninsular India, those who are from that area, look at the mountains. You will be surprised to see, जहाँ पे आपका घर है, you will find glaciated topographic evidence in the peninsular India. Fine? Western Ghats में जाइए. Go to the Andhra region. Go to the Telangana region. You will be surprised to see these are shaped by the glaciers. But today what has happened? Is there glacier in Brazil? Is there in Africa? Except for Mount Kilimanjaro, etc. Is there in peninsular India? No. So intensity has decreased. Fine? But after the end of Pleistocene Ice Age, shape of the rocks, you will have to wait for glacial landforms. But after the end of Pleistocene Ice Age, after the end of Pleistocene Ice Age. The area under glaciation has significantly reduced. Area under the glaciers have been significantly reduced. Now, I am asking you one simple concept here. Those who already know, and it is why Trump does not believe in climate change. Why there are some people who do not believe in climate change? Because Earth has gone alternatively through the phases of warming, cooling, and there are some evidences to show that we are in the middle of glacial period. मतलब the glacial period has not completely ended. वो सिर्फ कम हुआ है, cooling period. Earth is going to come and become cool again. This is one school of theory. It says that ये warm period है ही नहीं. This is an interglacial period in which means a big glacial period in which glaciers are very big, they become small, global, and then again they will become big. So this is what they say global cooling ho sakta hai rather than global warming. This is why Trump does not. You see his statement, or you see what has happened in Noida this January, what has happened in USA this January. There was suddenly the ice. So some say this is an evidence that we are living in the interglacial period. And इस interglacial period को हम गर्म कर रहे हैं. So we are declining the next ice age. We are postponing the next ice age, nothing else. So ये एक theory है which we'll study in climatology, that is Milankovitch cycles, etc. Example 2. Though volcanism and volcanic activities, ये भी एक प्रोसेस है. प्रोसेस मतलब मैकेनिज्म. Though volcanic activities are still present today, they are no longer on large scale. They are no longer on the large scale as were present during the Cretaceous period. And draw this diagram. Remember, during the Cretaceous period, so great was the volcanic activity in not just Maharashtra or the Deccan Plateau. It used to be right up to Mahendragarh in Haryana. Today, does this area experience volcanic activity? No. Fine? This is the reason of black soil. So therefore, present is key to the past. By studying the black soil, we know that this area has experienced volcanic activity. Remember, geography का answers is all about presentation, all about diagrams. Diagrams जरूरी नहीं book में होना चाहिए. You should know how to make diagrams on your own. यहाँ पे क्या हुआ है? It is below. Ganga, Indus, Saraswati rivers have covered this with the sediments. Why we are not drawing this? I'll explain you. First draw what you should be drawing in the exam. This is what you will be drawing in the exam. Present, past and present. Which is this barren island, only active volcano in India, no volcanic activity here. Understanding the diagram difference? Have you drawn, everyone? Now what has happened in this? Indus is flowing from here, no need of drawing. Ganga is flowing from here. Brahmaputra is flowing from here, meeting Ganga. Ganga ke baad Yamuna. Once upon a time a mighty river known as Saraswati used to flow. So these rivers have brought so much amount of sediment and silt कि उन्होंने वो deposit करके this area it has covered. So we don't see now. But if you dug deep, like what Haryana did last to last year, they found the evidences of Saraswati river. So that is why mythology में हमेशा Ganga, Jamuna, Saraswati. But where is that Saraswati? There is no Saraswati today. It has become extinct. But don't draw these lines. It will not make any sense in the exam. This was just for your explanation. Example 3, third example. Now those who are from north, they will understand this example very properly. See, once upon a time glaciers were big, fine, Pleistocene end, during the Pleistocene ices ended. Once upon a time this region was densely forested, there was more rainfall also in India, and hence the rivers were mighty. These mighty rivers used to flow through very big valleys. So this was a river valley. When I say again and again that Yamuna was so big that it used to touch Red Fort. If you see Red Fort के पास if you go, you will see numerous jalis. तो अब जाली आज आउटर रिंग रोड से जाओगे तो you will see numerous jalis. वो जाली क्या उस टाइम ट्रैफिक देखने के लिए नहीं था कि the king used to sit in the Red Fort and used to watch the traffic, और उसके सामने का गटर, और उसके सामने का gutter means, do you understand? In So उसके सामने का सीवेज, there is, if you go to Delhi, there is a marshy land, sewage. You will not find the equivalent adjective for gutter in English because the intensity will not come then. So the sewage or the waste land is there in the front of lead photo. Why? The reason is, once upon a time Yamuna was very mighty and it used to deposit large amount of sediments in this region. Today Yamuna has decreased in size. इसलिए उसका erosional capacity has decreased. Getting it? Yamuna has decreased in size. Bigger the river, greater the erosional capacity. Smaller the river, lesser the erosional. So when the river does not do erosion, what it will do? Deposition. So the present day Yamuna is flowing through very small channel because it has less water and it has deposited the sediments here. And this is where it is flowing. But still, Yamuna is flowing. What has decreased is intensity. The same geomorphic process which used to operate in past is operating but with lesser intensity. You study in GS this concept as Khadar soil of north and this as Bangar. Khadar and Bangar of north and south of North India. Khadar, recent alluvial deposits. Bangar, Pleistocene age ka alluvial deposits. Which is more fertile? Obviously, Khadar. We will understand this over the period. But understood, what is this? Decrease. So deposition. This is new, this is old. How do we know? In India, there were dinosaurs, you will find fossils of dinosaurs here. How do we know in North India there was cheetah? You will find the evidence of cheetah. If you find evidence of any fossil in this, means it has recently been extinct. This is natural historical extinction. Getting this? So that is the third example. No need of this diagram. Major rivers of the world, including those of North India, major rivers of the world, including those of North India, were much extensive or much larger, and formed bigger flood plains. Soil that is deposited during the floods is always flat and therefore we will call this as a flood plains, form bigger flood plains. अगर याद नहीं आया एग्जाम में, just write affected larger area. But रुकना मत. Understand the concept, don't worry about the words. But today, as the rivers have decreased, the intensity of rivers in the terms of erosion and deposition has also decreased. Intensity of the rivers in the terms of erosion and deposition has also changed. Don't write decreased. Has also changed. Understood? Intensity decrease हुआ, the process is same. Full stop. So these are enough 3 examples, more than 150 words, even if it comes for 250 words. You have the answer ready. But is this statement entirely true? If the same process as what he said was polycyclic relief, because this statement is not entirely true. Process एक ज़माने में North India was not existing. After that it came under the Pleistocene Ice Age. Today Pleistocene Ice Age has decreased. So today it is under the the river erosion. Or forget about this. Ek zamane mein we had one of the ancient civilization in the world, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, where rivers used to flow. So what process used to operate in that region? River erosion. Today, rivers have disappeared from this region due to many reasons. Where was Harappa and Mohenjo-daro? This region. So today rivers have disappeared, rains have stopped. So this is the region of desert today, the Great Indian Desert. So is the process same? No. Once rivers used to operate, today desert, sir, that is wind is operating. So you will have to criticize this statement also. Whether the question is asking elaborate or critically analyze, pura ka pura answer likho. Don't worry too much about the questions, critically analyze, elaborate, illustrate in geography. Because in other subjects, illustrate means you have to show it with the help of diagrams. Geography में पूछा भी नहीं है तो भी डायग्राम बनाओ. Have a general rule, एक पेज पे एक डायग्राम. Fine, if you want to cross 300 plus. Second, critically analyze or analyze. This is geography, it is science, cause and effect. You cannot critically analyze this subject. कि unless it is some theory कि नहीं, अगर ये ऐसा नहीं, हिमालय ऐसा हो गया. Himalayas are formed due to plate tectonics. So elaborate, critically analyze. Analyze is same in our subject. Don't worry about the other humanities. It is not going to affect much. It is more like any part of science. Science mein there is no importance of critically analyze unless you are analyzing the theory itself. Getting it? So in geography, don't worry about the question, worry about the concept about that is asked and write whatever you know. Fine? So, next part, the same statement ka. But, this concept is not always true. This concept is not always true because geomorphic processes change. Because geomorphic processes change with time. Due to different reasons such as drifting of continents, see, if this is the earth, and you have seen today the video, today India is here. In that video, over the period India will land here, climate will change, process will differ. So due to drifting of continents, changes in climate, as well as cooling of the earth, which causes decrease in the intensity of endogenetic forces. Cooling of the earth, as well as due to cooling of the earth, which decreases the intensity of endogenetic forces. And hence, in any region, more than one process operates. And hence a landform is an example of Hence, the landform is an example of polycyclic relief. More than one process, polycycle. Monocyclic relief, single process. Example, you don't have to even go ahead. This is the best place. We are in the Great Plains, Delhi, recently formed. But Delhi is also the end point of Aravallis. So Aravallis क्यों form हुए थे? Due to folding. Even today, this is a polycyclic. So Delhi में there is ridge road, polycyclic relief. Delhi के outer parts which are touching Haryana, Great Plains. Getting it? So this is what is an example of an polycyclic relief. There cannot be one cycle. So जो concepts है, अब देखो आप भी आंसर बनाने में डिफिकल्ट होगा बिकॉज यू डोंट नो व्हाट प्रोसेस मीन्स, बट द सेकेंड लॉ विच विल डू टुमारो विल एक्सप्लेन यू व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस. फाइन. सो यू गो होम, रीड दिस कंसेप्ट. दिस कंसेप्ट्स आर नॉट इन द सविंद्र सिंह. उसके लिए यू विल हैव टू बाय थॉर्नबरी का बुक ओनली. नो नीड ऑफ बाइंग दैट बिकॉज व्हेन यू बाय दिस बुक ऑफ थॉर्नबरी ओनली दिस मच पेजेस आर इंपॉर्टेंट. बाकी नहीं समझ में आएगा क्या लेना है क्या नहीं. सो आवर नोट्स विल बी मोर देन इनफ. Right now for initial 5-6 lectures, go home and do only what we have done and analyze the past year questions. Why analyze? Because kal ke lectures mein you will understand how the past year questions are being framed from this laws only. So that you will be more exam oriented. And then afterwards you will, jab main bataunga tab padhai shuru kar dena from standard book. Those who want to study still standard book, Savindra Singh, you can start reading the chapter of continental drift and plate tectonics. Anyone carrying Savindra Singh? Physical geography? Anyone has at home? So, this is the book. It has Climatology, Oceanography, Biogeography, everything. That is entire paper 1 ka section A. In this, if you want to study anything, don't study chapter 1, not important in our syllabus. Don't study chapter 2. Don't study chapter 3. See, 50 pages जो है starting के बिल्कुल काम के नहीं है. If you want, you can start reading chapter 4 and chapter 5 में, or if the best way, the way we are progressing, अगर आप पढ़ के आते हो chapter 5, then it is the best thing. Chapter 5 में भी you start from Taylor. That is page number 64 from Savindra Singh. And do page number 64 to 76. That's it. I have brought this book. I forgot to tell you yesterday. Those who have not brought Savindra Singh, this is another good book of physical geography. That is the Khullar. Not Indian geography, physical geography Khullar. कोई भी एक ले लो. Don't worry about the thickness. The thickness is more because font is big. Fine.